Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Yeshi Chonsom. Here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Monday, the 20th of July. Floods in India, Nepal displaced nearly 4 million people, at least 189 dead. Anti-Pakistan protest held in London to demand justice for Baloch victims. And Wickremesinghe says only his party can revive Sri Lankan economy amid pandemic. And now for all the details. Nearly 4 million people in India's northeastern province of Assam and neighbouring country of Nepal have been displaced by heavy flooding from the monsoon rains, with dozens missing as deaths have rose to at least 189.
Nearly 4 million people in India's Assam and Bihar provinces and the neighbouring country of Nepal have been displaced by heavy flooding from monsoon rains, with dozens missing as deaths have rose to at least 189 since May. Chief Minister of India's northeastern Assam, Sarbananda Sonowal, said on Monday that floods and landslides have claimed at least 107 lives so far and affected over 70,000 people in the province. Officials warned that the water level in the Brahmaputra river was expected to rise by 11 centimeters 2 weeks after it burst its banks, swamping more than 2,500 villages. Rescue teams were facing a double challenge of rising flood waters amid the novel coronavirus, as villagers driven from their homes huddled in shelters.
सरकार की तरफ से जितना संभव हो हम लोगों ने जनता को मदद करने में लगे हुए हैं और हमारे जिला प्रशासन, हमारे विधायक, हमारे सांसद, हमारे मंत्रीगण सब लगे हुए हैं.
Assam and Bihar are hit by flooding every rainy season despite flood control efforts. In neighbouring Nepal, the government asked residents along its southern plains on Sunday to remain alert as heavy monsoon rains were expected to pound the Himalayan nation, where more than 100 have died in floods and landslides since June, officials said.
The positive number of coronavirus cases in India reached beyond 1.1 million on Monday as infections continue to spread rapidly into the country. Seeing the rapid rise in the infection, fresh lockdown have been imposed in many provinces, with lockdown on weekends being announced at some places to tackle the spread of the virus. India's COVID-19 case tally crossed the 1.1 million mark on Monday, with the highest single-day spike of 40,425 new cases and 681 deaths reported in the last 24 hours. Total cases in the country now stands at 1,118,043, while the death toll is 27,497. India's western Maharashtra province remains the worst affected province, followed by southern Tamil Nadu province and Indian capital New Delhi. Though fatality and recovery rate are improving, the country's rural areas are now under increased threat from the deadly virus. Several provincial governments have reimposed total or partial lockdowns yet again to control the rising number of cases in several cities and containment zones.
It is not unexpected. It is the same that was predicted by the mathematical model. We are doing more tests now, so this is not surprising. Fortunately, morbidity, mortality continues to be lower than other countries. So let's not panic, let's not worry. This will get controlled. The country has enough resources to deal with it.
Given India's population of around 1.3 billion, experts say the cases are relatively low. But the number will rise significantly in the coming months as testing increases, further straining a healthcare system already pushed to the brink. Moving on, a massive anti-Pakistan protest was held by activists outside the 10 Downing Street in London on Sunday against human rights violations by Pakistani security agencies in Balochistan province. The protesters expressed concern over sharp rise in enforced disappearances and killings of activists and innocent civilians by Pakistan.
A massive protest was held by Brahm's Solidarity Committee outside the 10 Downing Street in London on Sunday against the killings of Baloch women at the hands of death squads and Pakistani paramilitary forces. in Pakistan's Balochistan province. The protesters raised slogans against the rising human rights violations in Balochistan and against the Harnai incident where Pakistan Army killed the family of Kaisar Chalgari, including his 9-year-old daughter Naz Bibi. Activists have long expressed concern over sharp rise in enforced disappearances and killings of political activists and innocent civilians by Pakistan.
Pakistan unleashed its death squad to create havoc and terror in Balochistan. They want to frighten the whole Baloch community by killing innocent Baloch women, attacking houses, so that people feel insecure.
Our main purpose is to tell the United Kingdom, the United Nations, European Union, United States of America and the regional power that Balochistan needs your help. Baloch people needs your help because today the suffering which Balochistan and people are going through at the hands of China, Pakistan and their death squads, the local goons, tomorrow these crimes will come to you.
Activists accuse Pakistan Army has been carrying so-called military operations in the region for years with an aim to eliminate the Baloch people and grab their lands. They blame thousands have been internally displaced because of armed conflicts and army operations over the years.
Local villages in Pakistan-administered Kashmir continue to face injustice due to political influence of criminals, and even the police fail to arrest these culprits. Residents in Neelum district of Pakistan-administered Kashmir recently held a protest against inaction by police and the government after brutal torture of local women. Residents in Neelum district of Pakistan-administered Kashmir blocked the road and held a protest against inaction by police and the government after brutal torture of local women. Their protest came in wake of reports that revealed that some miscreants tied and tortured women in village Danjar of Neelum district and that police failed to arrest the culprits despite carrying the heinous crime. The family members of the victim, joined by locals, blocked the highway seeking justice and demanded that the perpetrators should be banished from the village. They held banners in Urdu which translates, "If you are rich, can you kill anyone? And we don't believe in the rule of violent threats." The protesters demanded action against the station house officer or SHO for his inaction. They said that those who tied women with ropes, stripped their clothes and meted out barbarity on them must be brought to justice. Local villagers in the illegally occupied region of Pakistan-administered Kashmir continue to face injustice due to political influence of criminals. Police even failed to arrest these culprits because of their connection with high-profile and rich people. In news from Afghanistan, Shahabuddin Delawar, a key member of the Taliban's political office in Doha, has blamed the Afghan government for delays in the intra-Afghan negotiations aimed at ending the decades of war in the country. He said that the release of 5,000 Taliban prisoners should be finalized before talks with an inclusive delegation from Kabul.
A key member of the Taliban's political office in Doha, Shahabuddin Delawar, has blamed the Afghan government for delays in the intra-Afghan negotiations aimed at ending the decades of war in the country. The talks were expected to begin 10 days after the February 29 US Taliban deal, but it is dependent on the completion of a prisoner exchange by the Afghan government and the Taliban. Delawar said the release of prisoners should be finalized before talks with an inclusive delegation from Kabul. He also blamed the Afghan government for the ongoing violence over the last 4 months and said it should have released 5,000 Taliban prisoners by March 15. Meanwhile, Sadiq Siddiqui, the spokesman for the Afghan presidential palace, criticized the Taliban and said it has not followed on its commitments for peace efforts. According to security officials, offensives by the Taliban have intensified over the past couple of months amid ongoing peace efforts.
In news from Bangladesh, more than 1 million people have been caught up in severe flooding triggered by monsoon rains over the past month in Bangladesh. Floodwater continued to flow above the danger mark in different districts, intensifying miseries of the victims at a time when the country is already grappling with the coronavirus.
Floodwater continued to flow above the danger mark at more than 20 points in different districts across Bangladesh, affecting more people and intensifying miseries of the victims. The flood has marooned about 236,000 people of some 551,000 families in 18 districts according to latest media reports. People in parts of Bangladesh hit by monsoon rain floods did their best to get on with life in villages as they waited for the water to recede. According to officials, hundreds of thousands of people have been marooned and thousands of hectares of farmland submerged due to floods triggered by monsoon rains ravaged the country already grappling with the coronavirus. There are now more than 204,000 confirmed coronavirus cases and 2,618 deaths reported in Bangladesh as of Monday. The floods are a double whammy for Bangladesh, which is trying to control the coronavirus outbreak with lockdowns across the country.
Sri Lanka's former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, while addressing election rallies on Sunday, said his United National Party can only help revive the economy battered due to coronavirus pandemic. He urged people to vote for UNP in the upcoming elections, while blaming that the ruling government was not concerned about the collapsed economy.
Leader of Sri Lanka's United National Party or UNP, Ranil Wickremesinghe, has said the future of the country could not be handed over to the present government, which has no plan to revive the economy collapse due to the coronavirus pandemic. Addressing election rallies on Sunday, the former Prime Minister said the UNP was the only party that had come up with a plan to revive the economy battered due to the coronavirus, pointing out that $7 billion had been lost due to the collapse of the garment industry and the tourism industry. Sri Lanka is set to hold the parliamentary elections on 5th of August, more than 3 months late because of the coronavirus outbreak, which prompted the authorities to announce a strict nationwide lockdown from March 20th. The country has eased the lockdown in recent weeks. As of Monday, Sri Lanka reported 2,704 confirmed cases of coronavirus with 11 deaths so far. Around 2,035 patients have been cured and discharged.
Exiled Tibetans based in India's northern hill town of Dharamsala have condemned the vandalization of an ancient Buddhist statue in Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. 4 persons were soon arrested after a video went viral on social media showing a man smashing the statue. Exiled Tibetans based in Indian hill town of Dharamsala on Sunday condemned the vandalization of an ancient Buddhist statue in Pakistan's Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. At least 4 persons were arrested for damaging the statue with a sledgehammer, which was found during construction work in the Taktbai area of Mardan. The statue of Buddha that was smashed into pieces belonged to the Gandhara civilization and was nearly 1700 years old, according to media reports.
This is an act of intolerance, I guess. And Pakistan, being a signatory of Universal Declaration of the UNO, must abide by respecting the beliefs and the religious beliefs of others also. From a religious perspective, religion is one that unites heart.
The vast majority of Pakistan's 208 million people are Muslims, with minorities accounting for about 3% of the population according to a 1998 census. Pakistan has shared troubled relationship with minorities who are subjected to oppression in the country, often with the tacit support of the authorities. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/AsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @AsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.